Way back Wednesday. Today, guys, what I'm going to talk about is some of my mindsets towards competition and fighting and grappling tournaments and boxing matches and all the like that have come up over the years. What inspired this was one of my students, one of my more talented fighters. He asked me if there was anything like rituals I would go through, thoughts I would go through and stuff like that before I would have a match. And he was hoping to glean some words of wisdom from me, because I know that sometimes keeping his mind right is something that can be hit-miss for him. And it's funny because there's so many cliches that are out there. I feel like everyone reads a Tony Robbins self-help book and they're like, oh, this is what you got to do. And they don't realize that there's a lot of individual variation that occurs. And I struggled because I don't even want to say what worked for me, but what happened with me was somewhat atypical from what most of the self-help things will tell you. I can remember when I started competing and people would say stuff like, they would ask a question and they would say, how many matches do you have in this particular competition? Let's say it was a jiu-jitsu tournament. And I would say, well, if I win all my matches, I would have like 4. And they'd go, hey bro, it's when you win, not if. Champion's blind. Like they just dropped some wisdom on me. And I'm like, no, it's if, because a lot of times I lose. And I never liked that no, you got to act as if you already did it. People will talk about their vision boards and all that. I'm like, that's preposterous. Just statistically speaking, 50% of people will lose. It's funny that that seems so apparent. But I was at a rules meeting, ironically, for the first MMA fight I ever lost. And at the rules meeting, I remember the event organizer, he was talking about how we should behave and how we should be proud of ourselves for going out there. And he said, hey, I want you guys to all look at how many fighters we have in here. Look around you. Half of you are all going to lose. And like popped in my head, I was like, oh, wow. I mean, of course, every fight has a winner and loser, but for some reason I didn't think that way. Like, we all think we're going to win, and half of us are dead wrong. And people always try to talk about the power of positive thinking. Hey, you got to think positive, envision yourself winning. And I always struggled with that because I would envision myself losing at everything, always. And I thought that, like, oh no, maybe this is just some kind of handicap. But sometimes I would win, and I would actually start to remind myself that hey, negative thoughts are normal. I remember I was at the Abu Dhabi trials, and I didn't even expect to be there. I hadn't been training that well. I was a little overweight, and I convinced myself I wasn't going to do it, and then on a whim, I did it. And I remember I walked out there, and I fully believed with everything I had that I was going to get submitted my first match. And I saw even how it would happen. And I remember before I slapped hands with the guy, I just had it in my head. I couldn't get the thought out of my head, you're going to lose, you're going to lose, you're going to lose. And I slapped hands and I said, well, if I lose, I'm just going to try hard as I can. And that actually worked for me. And admitting the fact that I couldn't control the outcome and that a large part of me didn't expect to win, for whatever reason that is. Some people are optimists. I'm a pessimist. And I don't think you can change that. I genuinely don't think things are going to work out when I walk into a situation. And a lot of people say that's negative, you got to see a sports psychologist. But the fact that I have those negative thoughts, I actually found it to be a very positive thing. I said I'm going to write a book one day called The Power of Negative Thinking. And I was a psychology major in college, and we talked about a group of people that are motivated by failure. If you tell me, hey, you got to get up and train, you got to rep this arm bar, and you got to go out on this 5-mile run. And I go, well, why? And they go, because if you do all this, you'll win, and you'll get your hand raised. Okay. That wouldn't really motivate me. But if someone said, hey, you got to go drill this, you got to go rep this out. And I go, why? They go, because if you don't, someone's going to beat you, and you're going to lose, and you're going to feel terrible in front of everyone you care about. I'm going to run 6 miles if I had to run 5. I'm going to do 200 reps if I had to. I was motivated by failure. And the more certain I thought the failure was, the harder I worked. And in a weird way, I can remember sitting there before, I think it was my second MMA fight. And it wasn't that I thought I would win, but I thought I deserved to. I'm not, I don't believe in an interventionist God. What I mean by that, I actually am a theist. However, I don't think that if I sit there and ask for something to happen, there's someone watching and they're going to intervene and make sure that things work out for me. But I would think if there is some kind of justice in the universe, I would win this fight because I deserve it. I deserve to win. I did work as hard as I could. I did go to all the training sessions. I did wake up early. I did cancel all the social obligations so that I could get to training. And just knowing that I deserve to win, it made losing okay in a weird way. I remember looking myself in the mirror and being like, I deserve to win this. And so if I don't, it's okay because I worked hard as I could. And that helped me when I made losing okay. You know, a lot of people are like, no, I refuse to lose and losing isn't even an option. I love when Chael Sonnen says this. It is the most readily available option for you. And so that was something that helped me. Once I just embraced my own pessimism, once I embraced my own negative thoughts, once I realized I'm not going to envision myself winning, I'm going to envision myself losing each time in a more embarrassing and more crippling way, and that's going to just motivate me to train. And once I took all of that in for myself, it helped me. I used to also buy into a lot of the myths people would say, like, you got to get pumped, you got to get psyched. I'm so nervous before I compete, the last thing I should be doing is getting pumped and psyched. I can remember I had this walkout music, and I liked the walkout music, and when I would listen to it when I was calm, it would get me excited. But it was terrible walkout music because it would put me in a stressful mindset. I was already so stressed, that would get me more stressed. It's just like a simple thing like caffeine. Like I drink coffee regularly. But that's because, you know, I wake up in the morning, I'm kind of sleepy, and that takes me from sleepy right to that homeostasis. Now I can function. But before competition, I'm already wired. But I would think, oh no, I got to get pumped. I read some study that caffeine helps you before something. And it would take me to the edge of a panic attack. And that's not what I need. What I need is to be myself. And once people started saying that, once I kind of figured that out about myself, it helped. One of the things I like to do is to make jokes, to laugh at people. And if I can have my friends around, a lot of times I would have people backstage that weren't even there to help me fight or to help me prepare for the technical aspects of the fight. They were just there because, hey, this is the person that's not going to keep asking me about the fight or talking about the fight. They're going to talk to me about, some embarrassing story or some funny hijink. They're going to tell me about the time they mooned their homecoming, or they mooned the entire cheerleading squad at homecoming. They're going to tell me about the time they got kicked out because they got kicked out of school because the dean found their hash stash or something like that. And some funny anecdote that's just going to take my mind off the fact that I have someone that's going to try to strangle me or beat me up or something like that. The other thing is that I've kind of, as a coach, accepted the fact that everyone has their own mindset. Certain things, even if they seem weird to you, they're someone's rituals. I know my friend Andy, when Andy fights, he paces back and forth. He doesn't sit in the corner. I think it's ridiculous. Because in my head, you're wasting energy pacing. You should sit down and recover. But for him, it keeps him in that mindset. I used to joke, I was like, Andy, when you're pacing, because they always make a big deal that you have the stool and he doesn't really take ice on him or water. I go, while you're pacing, I'm going to go in, I'm going to set the stool down, I'm going to sit on it, put ice on myself, drink as I give you the instructions. I know my friend Shorty, he gets super pumped and he would always scream, it's my time, it's my time. He'd throw his headphones on and just scream that. To the point that the big joke, I would ask someone, I'd say, excuse me, do you have the time? And then almost like we planned it, Shorty would just start screaming, it's my time. I go, oh, no. I know what time it is now. And there's just all these cliched things that they say. The thing that I always thought was the most ridiculous was have fun out there. Really, have fun out there. If I was gonna have fun, I would watch a Seinfeld marathon and play some acoustic guitar. That's what I would do if I was gonna have fun, not fight a man half naked in front of everyone that I know with a ton of money on the line. That's not my idea of fun. One of my friends actually made a joke about it because he had lost a fight, and it was kind of and I had told him my thoughts on that before. He lost a fight and he was a little dejected, and he goes, "You know what though, guys? I had fun." And that was a little point of humor between us. But a couple things that I guess words of wisdom that I did pick up that helped me. One of them was I went to a seminar with Dominic Cruz. And something that Dominic said was that he fights the man, not the myth. And what he means by that is a lot of people say, "Oh, this guy's the best, the GOAT, he's incredible, he can't be beat." And he goes, I don't do that. I fight who the person is in front of me. And then Frankie Edgar kind of echoed this. He goes, "I don't prepare for people. I prepare for techniques. No one's unstoppable." No, everyone's stoppable, everyone's fallible, everyone's human. They do techniques. What's unstoppable about them? They have a good double leg takedown. They have a strong guillotine choke. They have a good outside heel hook. They have a good right hand. Okay, well, I'm going to circle away from the right hand. I'm going to make sure that I put my head in the center when I shoot my double legs to avoid the guillotine. I'm going to make sure that I don't allow the person to get control of my knee line if they're going to attack the heel hook. There's just techniques, and techniques have answers. They have strategic counters. So you focus on that rather than focusing on the person. But one thing about a champion's mindset that I think is important is how you react to failure. And one thing I absolutely hate, and you see it a lot with parents, are the excuse makers. If you have an excuse maker near you and you want to be a highly successful competitor, get rid of those people. And when I say get rid of them, I mean sometimes they're your closest friends and family, but don't talk to them before, after, or during a competition. I would advise you not even to let them know that it's occurring, if at all possible. A lot of parents will sit there when their kid loses and they don't know how to deal with the fact that their child lost at something, especially something their child worked hard at. I think one of the most important lessons a child can learn in martial arts or in life is sometimes you're going to try your best, sometimes you're going to do absolutely everything you could, and it's still not enough, and that's okay. But the second the match is over, they'll go, "Oh, that ref robbed you. Oh, he was taller than you and stronger than you. Oh, he's been training longer. Oh, he had this or that advantage," and they make losing okay. And then sometimes the parents will go to me and they'll go, "He's very upset that he lost." And I'll always say the same thing. Good. I don't want someone that loses, and I've seen this. People that lose and they're still, "Oh, well." You can't be, "Hey, I'm going to jump off the Empire State Building because I lost." But you should never be happy to lose. You should be gracious in defeat. You should be a good sportsman, but you should never be happy. And a lot of parents don't understand that. Like, your child's going to be unhappy. That's okay, and that's a good thing. They should not be happy with losing. They had a goal to win. They fell short of that goal. They should use this loss to motivate them. Now, from the adult side of things, something you should never do is congratulate someone that fell short of their goal. I used to hate that. I have a lot of second-placed medals on my mantle that I still kind of bite at me because they were big competitions. I remember the Brown Belt Pan Ams I took second place in. The Abu Dhabi Trials I took third place in, which I kind of consider second because they don't have a true third place, but that's a different story. The Grappler's Quest All-Star Pro I took second place in. Now along the line I beat some tough guys, and people would go, "Congratulations, you did great." Hey, I appreciate that. But right now I'm feeling dejected. And kind of when you congratulate me for falling short of my goals, to me it sends the message that you never thought that I was someone that would win to begin with. Because if you really thought I was going to win and you had that, you would know how I feel expecting to win and not getting that result. You could say something like, hey, I know this isn't what you wanted, but I thought you put in an inspiring performance. Fine. But don't congratulate me. I know some people that would enter competitions, they would beat a big name in their first match. They would go ballistic and celebrate, some almost posing for pictures and signing autographs. And it's like, brother, that's the first match of the competition. Yeah, you beat a tough guy. Guess what? This is a high-level tournament. Everyone's tough. And they had mentally checked out for the next match. And they would lose. And when you're talking about someone that's expected to win, those people, they understand. I can remember Marcelo Garcia took second place in Abu Dhabi in his weight class. He lost to Pablo Popovich by a very slim margin. And if you spoke to Marcelo, you'd have thought that someone in his family just died. You know, because he expected to win. And everyone around him was in shock because they expected him to win. Well, everyone that wants to be a champion expects to win. So never ever sit there and congratulate someone that fell short of a goal, even if they put a great performance in. You can compliment the performance. You could tell them how inspired you were by them, but never ever say congratulations to someone that has anything short of a first place victory. Because if they have a champion's mindset, that's not going to be what they want to hear. So I kind of went all over the place. Hopefully you guys gleaned something off of it. Way back Wednesday.